Thanks to the support as a channel member, Mumongu Gaming. Well, who'd have thought that it's actually harder to spend £80 million at Brighton than I thought it was going to be. Hello folks and welcome to episode 2 of my Brighton FM24 beta save. I'm Kev, and coming up on this episode, we're going to have a look through, I would normally say transfers. There's been 2. There's stuff we're trying to do, but I am really struggling with the combination of Brighton have obviously got money to spend. However, they're a mid-table Premier League team, and despite having transfer budget, there's not loads of wage budget and not a massive reputation pull to bring players into the club. I am trying, but I'm also trying to do it whilst sticking within the profile of the kind of players that I think Brighton would sign. So we've signed a couple. We've got Eduardo Bove, probably he's Italian. It's probably Bove. He's a 21-year-old defensive midfielder. It's the key position we needed to strengthen. He can play in central midfield or defensive midfield. He's not ready to start yet necessarily, but with 5-star potential, fingers crossed, he goes on to become another one of those players that Brighton bring in relatively cheaply and then sell on for mega money, which of course has to be the plan for us here at Brighton. He hasn't started very well with his training, has he? We've also signed Per Schurz, who's a 23-year-old centre-back. He's 6'3". I like a big centre-back. He's a nice ball-playing centre-back as well. Good on the ball, good in the air. I mean, it's an area we needed a little bit of extra strength in depth. So he is in as well for a little bit more money. £25 million. We brought him in from Torino, former Ajax man as well. He's not actually fit to play in the first game we're going to show today, but he will hopefully play in the second of these 2 matches. And then we've got other transfers that we're trying to do. So Kyle Walker-Peters would... By the way, how is Kyle Walker-Peters 26 years old? In my head, he's still like 19. But Kyle Walker-Peters, who is 26 now, apparently, natural at left back and right back. It's an area where we need a little bit of strength in depth. If we look at the depth we've got in those positions, once you get behind Estupiñán, Lamptey can play both sides. Igor's really a centre-back. Milner's really a midfielder. Likewise, on the right-hand side, Veltman's really a centre-back. Lamptey's our cover at left. Basically, Walker-Peters being able to play both will be very handy and will hopefully lead to us not having to play James Milner there ever. Patrick Berg is also hopefully going to be coming in. He is like the bargain of the century at £8 million, wanted by Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester United, amongst others. No one else has actually made a firm offer for him, though. He's another one who's natural at defensive midfield and central midfield. We're definitely going for the very strong double pivot, pushing our wing back something. I know it's the trend on FM24 that you have your inverted fullbacks, your inverted wing backs. Forget that. We're having wing backs that bomb on. We're having wide attackers who cut in and a couple of bruisers in here. That's the plan. Berg can be one of my bruisers. And then fingers crossed, we also managed to bring in Thiago Almada as well, keeping in with our theme of having youngsters who have played for Argentina. We've got Brendan Notte, is that how you say his name? He's a natural attacking midfielder and left winger, can also play on the right wing as well. It's not necessarily a position we need to strengthen, although attacking midfield is somewhere where we could probably do with a little bit of extra depth. But again, we're looking in terms of value for money, age, potential resale, upside. If we can get him for 10 to 15 million pounds and he continues to play for Argentina and we end up selling him on for 30 or 40 or 50 or even more with Brighton, these numbers could go crazy high. Then I think that's another deal that makes sense. Whether we can afford all 3 of them, slight question mark. It's £21 million of upfront fees, but another 200,000 on the wage budget. We might just be able to squeeze them through. There is a little bit of interest in some of our more senior players as well. We mentioned this in episode 1. Estupiñán is attracting interest from Saudi Arabia. We really can't afford to let him go. He's kind of the reason that we've decided to go with the bombing on fullbacks. And if he goes, we don't have a left-footed left back to actually play in his stead. So we'd definitely have to go out and spend some significant coinage on replacing him. Mitoma, I'm a little bit more likely to let go. Newcastle are interested in him, and if we have a look at our squad planner, Left wing is an area where we do have a lot of strength in depth. And actually, with Ansu Fati being here on loan, we might not even be starting Mitoma. So if we get that offer in from Newcastle, it's a decent size one. I think we probably let him go before the season starts, before the transfer window closes at the very least, before everyone realises he's actually probably going to be a reserve for us. His contract is up in 2 years. He won't sign a new one. We've already asked. He wants to go to Newcastle. So I think if the offer is forthcoming, we let him go. But we have asked the agent already. We'll ask the agent again. We'll say we're curious. Nobody willing to make an offer just yet. I suspect Newcastle have spent up their budget for July, or for the summer, and that deal might have to wait until January. And it might be harder to do in January if Mitoma is not starting regularly. So that's something we probably need to monitor. So with all that being said, we are ready to start the season. The media think we're looking good for finishing 9th. The board and the fans want us to finish top half. We just need to kind of do okay. And we were away against Manchester United on the first day of the season. So that's going to be something of a challenge when it comes to doing okay. And this is our 11. We've got Steele in goal. We have tried to sign a new goalkeeper. We actually had talks with Jordan Pickford, but he wanted £150,000 a week and he's 29. With having Verbruggen around, it's difficult to commit to spending big money on a young keeper. So I think we probably long-term are going with Verbruggen, but in the meantime, Steele is edging him a little bit at the moment. So Steele starts in goal. Estupinian at left back, Veltman at right back. We're actually going with Veltman as a normal fullback rather than a wing back. He doesn't really like to attack. He'd be an ideal candidate for that inverted fullback role, which is all over FM24. But I can't really do it because A, we don't have someone to invert as a wing back. We'd probably have to use Lewis Dunk as a libero, and again, that doesn't necessarily appeal to me. So just a standard fullback. Let Estupinian do all the attacking. Solly March can do some attacking in front of him as well, and Veltman can just focus on being a defensive fullback. Milner and Dahoud ahead of him. He's not a long-term solution, especially James Milner in there, but he'll do for now. Hopefully it ends up longer term being Berg in there. And then an attacking midfield three of Fati, Gross and March with Welbeck up front for today. Ferguson picked up a knock in pre-season and hasn't really done much of a pre-season. So we're starting with Welbeck and we'll figure things out from there. But this is a very strong bench for Brighton. I say I'm struggling to spend the money. There's not a massive amount we need to spend the money on. If you look at the quality on that bench, this is a good squad. We're going to have some fun here. Not necessarily today away against Manchester United in our first match, though. So let's have a little bit of a look, see how we get on. Let's just make sure that we've got our stuff all set up correctly. We have. Here we go. First match on FM24 on this YouTube channel. First of many. Fingers crossed we start with a win. And for some of you, I guess this is going to be a first look at the match engine in action. If you've not actually had a chance to play the game yet, if you've not pre-ordered, as I keep saying, I've got my code for pre-order. It's down at the top of the description below. So if you want to pre-order, use that code. It will save you some money against the normal Steam price and supports the channel as well, which is very much appreciated. And talking of support, I am working on the assumption that you are watching this video at 11 a.m. because of your incredible support on yesterday's video. I'm recording this at 1:45 after my Twitch stream ended. Highlights of that are on LOLLUJO 2 soon, so check those out as well. We did a Chelsea rebuild. 'Twas fun. But yeah, I'm assuming we hit the 6,000 likes or you wouldn't be seeing this video now. If you're watching it at 4, we nearly got there. We're on like 5,000 likes as I'm recording. I'm fairly confident we hit the 6,000, which is why I'm staying up late to record this for you. It's still 0-0, half an hour in. We're not being outplayed by this Manchester United team. In fact, we should be getting to the point now where we're starting to see what they're doing with their tactical roles. I suspect what I've seen from my Twitch stream with Chelsea is almost all the AI teams are doing this. They're doing the inverted wing back one side, the inverted full back the other side, which there is the potential to exploit if you go wider than them. We've seen it a couple of times on stream already, where if they're playing that narrow, especially when you've got the inverted fullback and the inverted wing back, and then you're playing with inside forwards as well, they're very, very narrow. We could go around them. I mean, we've got Estupinian, who's obviously playing very wide. We've got March, who's playing wide. Fati is tucking in a little bit. Veltman will naturally tuck in a little bit. But with potentially playing with a little bit more width than they are, and that might prove important. We're playing a short corner, which is absolute madness. But we very nearly scored for it. I think that was the post from Dunk's header. It might have been a fantastic save, but we're continuing to camp out on the edge of the area. It's Solly March across to Danny Welbeck. And I was going to say his return to Old Trafford. It's one of his many returns, I'm sure. But he is back at Old Trafford, where it all began for Danny Welbeck. And he has a goal against Manchester United. Lovely, lovely, lovely. It's Milner to March to Welbeck. I'll level with you. As an outsider looking in at Brighton, they're three players that I'd probably be quite keen to replace. They're just not very cool and fashionable, are they? English players, March English, I think he is. English players in their late 20s, late 30s for one of them. Welbeck's in his 30s now as well, isn't he? I mean, March might be as well. But what I'm saying is they're not South American 21-year-old wonder kids, are they? But you need a little bit of this around the team, and we've got a little bit. I mean, the three of them combined there, and we're 1-0 up away from home at Old Trafford on the first day of the season. I was going to say at half-time, but they have got an attack here. It's Mason Mount, of course, at Manchester United now. Mount shoots, but it's straight into the hands of Steele, who collects very comfortably, and we are going to go in at half-time 1-0 up. Goodness me. Long may it continue. What a start. Let's do more of that in the second half, please, because we are looking like a good team at the moment, and I am very much enjoying looking like a good team, because I'm still not really sure. Obviously, very early days. Tactically, I'm struggling a little bit with FM24 at the moment because of these new defensive shapes and working out A, how to use them, B, how to counter them, and I don't know, going wide, which seems to be my plan at the moment, seems to be working currently, although we're not exactly running rampant down the flanks of Manchester United. We're not playing as wide as we could, to be fair. But United are enjoying all of these players they've got centrally. I tell you what, I'm going to let Aaron Wan-Bissaka shoot from there all day long. If that's what they're conjuring up, Wan-Bissaka trying to play like Trent Alexander-Arnold and taking a pop from the edge of the area, fill your boots, son. I'm not against you doing that as many times as you want to do that. Right, we're going to bring on Billy Gilmore for James Milner. James Milner is shattered. Gilmore he wants to be a playmaker. This is a problem we've got. This is why the midfielders we're signing are more bruisers, because the ones that we've got are largely playmakers. We'll swap the two of them around. Dahoud probably is better off as the more defensive of the two. Gilmore can play as the playmaker. Estupinian is tired. And do I want to bring on Lamptey, who, I mean, he can play as the complete wing back, but he is a right footer. We've also got Igor, who is a centre back who can kind of play that. I think we bring on Lamptey. This is why we want Walker Peters, so that we've got an easy change to make in that situation. And I think we will also, I haven't got the new boy on the bench. I was going to bring him on for Dahoud. In fact, what we'll do then is we'll give João Pedro his debut, playing as the attacking midfielder. He can come on for Gross, and we'll just try and keep some energy all the way through the team. Dahoud plays it to Lamptey, who looks forward for Ansu Fati, who's been quiet today, and that was a little bit of an iffy pass back to Dunk. And in fact, there's a couple of passes where we just seem to be selling our teammates a little short. Webster playing it to March, back to Veltman. This is a bit more like it, keeping some nice possession here. Or I would like us to move the ball forward a little bit, but I guess we're playing on a tiki-taka instruction. We'll do this for the rest of the game if United let us. And now Fati on the left-hand side. Can he get there ahead of Wan-Bissaka? He can't, but Lamptey is there. And there's the ball over the top, and Danny Welbeck's in again. And Danny Welbeck has scored again. I thought this save was going to be the Evan Ferguson show, but Danny Welbeck has 2 goals on the first day of the season. This man has never got into double figures in his career. He's already well on the way. Oh, at 32 years old, are we about to make Danny Welbeck a superstar? Get him back in the England team. Why not? 2-0 to Brighton now. 10 minutes to go. And I think we can probably rest a few more legs at this point. Veltman can come off for nobody, because we don't have anyone else who can play right back. So actually we'll leave Veltman on. We'll take off Solly March because we can bring on Mitoma, who definitely needs to get as much game time as possible. Fati he can just carry on playing the same role. Mitoma can be the inside forward. Fatty can play over there as the winger. We don't want to narrow up too much. Although that being said, Fatty is the other man who's tiring. I'm tempted to put Welbeck out there and bring Evan Ferguson, although Ferguson's not fully fit. So I think we will just bring on Enciso, who is a right footer and can play that winger role. So yeah, we'll do that. The other option would have been moving João Pedro out there, but we've got so many of these attacking midfielder, inside forward kind of players, which an embarrassment of riches in those positions. It's a role I really like buying, and I would love to be able to go out and get a couple of them, but we just don't need them. We've got so many. This is why I wouldn't be upset about selling Mitoma, and I don't fully understand the Ansu Fati loan, because it just wasn't needed. There's so many players who can play the roles that he can play at the club. So who am I? I mean, obviously I am better looking than Roberto De Zerbi, probably a little bit more knowledgeable about these things than he is. If he wants to watch these videos and learn from me, I'm not against it. I wouldn't have done it, Roberto, but maybe you'll prove me wrong and he'll go on and be absolutely superb throughout this save. And then I'll officially call it a draw on the Fatty issue, because the weirdest thing about it is there just doesn't seem to be any potential at all for a permanent deal. What a goal that is from Marcus Rashford. There's just no accounting for that, is there? That's he's picked that up so deep on the left-hand side and just ran all the way across. Who's our number 9? João Pedro's tracked him all the way, never bothered trying to get a tackle in. And it's 2-1, and United have got a chance here as we enter into the final minutes through individual brilliance from Rashford, Gilmour now to Dahoud, and João Pedro turns nicely. We've got plenty of options ahead of him. This is lovely work from João Pedro. Lovely pass for Enciso as well. Cross to Welbeck. I thought Welbeck was going to grab his hat-trick there. Goodness me, I think it was actually the defender who got the touch, but Mitoma plays it back into, I think that was Gilmour he was aiming for. But either way, Rashford panicked me for a minute. But importantly, we have picked up the win. 2-1 to Brighton. And now, fingers crossed, we can confirm these signings before the Bournemouth game. What a start to the season that is, though. Right, things are starting to come together transfer-wise. Kyle Walker-Peters is in, so that's a complete wing-back for the opposite side to Estupiñán as well, so we can do that on both sides now. And he can also cover for Estupiñán at left back as well. Ideal extra utility player. Love a utility player, but even more exciting than him coming in, we've got 2 boys now waiting for work permits who I think are going to be key players for this season. Patrick Berg to sit in that defensive midfield position and kick people really hard. Fingers crossed, love a hard kick. And Thiago Almada to be one of our options in the attacking midfield position. And hopefully, Almada in particular, but arguably both of them, because they're so cheap, players that we can sell on for big money in the future, which of course, it actually says sign young players to develop a profit. I don't think Berg fits into that. Almada should, though. And that is what the board are looking for me to do. So that's good stuff. We did also find somebody knocking around in the development centre as well. Carlos Baleba, who Brighton did spend £23 million on this summer just gone. So don't know why he was knocking around in the under-19s. I also don't know what an ESC is. It's something to do with work permits. If we hover over it, it says he's got an ESC work permit place. We're going to have to do some learning for FM24. Let me know down in the comments what that means. He'll be evaluated for a standard work permit next August. So I think he can play at the moment, but he might not get a work permit eventually. I don't really understand. Let's play another football match. And the only change we've made is to bring Walker-Peters in at right back. We wouldn't necessarily do this away from home against Manchester United. I think having the security of Veltman as a fullback there is a good idea in those big away games. We're at home against Bournemouth. It's a game we should win. We're going all out with both fullbacks. Veltman moves over to centre-back to play alongside Dunk. Other than that, it is the same team that started the previous match. Schurz is now fit enough to be on the bench, so he's ready to start being integrated into the team as well. And let's get our team submitted and hopefully have a perfect start to the season. That's what we're looking for. If we can win both matches in the first episode, that's a good sign for the future, especially with these exciting new signings on their way in as well. And that's a clearance off the line from Solly March. My decision to have somebody on the near post at corners is justified. My set piece coach didn't want that. I overruled him. Kev knows. That's Brighton's actual manager and actual set piece coach. I've proven I'm smarter than in this episode. Brighton, you know where I am. If you want to hire me, LOLLUJO on Twitter is probably the best place to get in touch with me. I am available. I am expensive, but I am available. Right, we're looking to build up through Dunk and now Dahoud, who runs forward and finds Solly March, who's got space to run into. Remember, proper out-and-out winger he's playing as. And back to Dahoud, who slots it into March again, who can maybe slide it across. In fact, looks to go it alone, but it's cleared out to touch here on this... I guess it's, for us, where the camera is, it's the far side. My manager man is actually stood over there, so it's kind of the near side for me. But I will refer to it as the far side, so I don't look like a crazy person. Remains 0-0. We've not actually had a shot on target yet. We've not played particularly well, other than the fact that we're just hogging all of the possession, over 60% of the possession, but not necessarily doing a lot with it. This is the difference I'm hoping Almada's going to make, is the attacking midfielder, or maybe João Pedro in that role. I'm not sure Gross is creating enough for me in that position. Maybe we need Evan Ferguson to create stuff for himself as well. Maybe this is where Matoma might be a player who comes in. I don't think we're getting enough out of the fullbacks attacking-wise. Aaron March is playing well, though, and he plays it back to Dahoud, and now Walker Peters. A first look at him bombing forward on that right-hand side, and Dahoud into the area, back to Milner, and now Ansu Fati, and there is a goal from Ansu Fati. Maybe De Zerbi was right after all. It's some lovely football, just dragging Bournemouth players out of position. Milner takes up a particularly good position here because he just hangs back, and because of that the defender has to come forward and come and get him because he's not pushing forward. That was the experience, James Milner there. Lovely stuff from him. 1-0 to Brighton. We're a good team playing good football. We're not in any danger of winning the league this year. We're a long way from that. We're very much still a club that are probably needing to focus on trying not to sell our best players, but accepting that we're going to have to. We somehow have to do the transition over the course of this beta. I remember we've only got 2 or 3 seasons to do it in. Over the course of this beta, we somehow need to figure out how to convert Brighton from being a selling club that just basically send 2 or 3 players to Chelsea once a year and get £300 million in return, and turn us into a club who somehow managed to keep hold of some of these better players and win a trophy of some kind. Like I say, winning the Premier League is probably a stretch for us over the course of the save. We're only doing this save during the beta, but a Europa League, an FA Cup, a trophy of some kind, I think is doable. And who knows? Maybe we will win the league. Maybe I am a genius. We'll see, I guess. We probably won't, but you never know. Never say never, boys and girls. Right, Bournemouth are having a little bit of a sustained period of attack here, so it would be quite nice for us to nip that in the bud, but they're once again on the attack. They seem to be causing us a few problems, especially Kluivert, who may have swapped out with his dad at some point over half time and looks like a much more dangerous player in the second half. His rating wouldn't suggest that, but that's because he just wasn't in the game at all in the first half, but was involved in a couple of those moves there. Once again, look, they're playing the inverted wingback. Interestingly, Bournemouth are the first team I've seen in FM24 playing the inverted wingback on one side and not balancing it with an inverted fullback on the other. So they've got Aaron's moving up in here alongside Cook, but then Kelly's not coming over to make this a back three. So we've got room there. I don't think it's a coincidence that our left winger, Ansu Fati, is the man who scored the goal and is the best player on the pitch for us, apart from Dahoud, actually. But yeah, they seem to be leaving a strange gap for us for no real reason. Don't know why they're doing that. Right, Solly March is coming off. We're going to bring Matoma on for him and move Ansu Fati over to the other side, giving Matoma as much football as possible. And our first look in this beta save at Evan Ferguson, a man I fell in love with during my world record thing at Insomnia earlier in the year. And I cannot wait to see how good he is in FM24. That's one of the reasons I wanted to manage Brighton. We're also taking off Estupiñán. Walker Peters can go over the other side. Lamptey, can he play as complete wing-back? I tell you what, we've got several complete wing-backs at the club now, which I do enjoy. I am wondering if I maybe should have brought Schurz on, put Veltman out to right back and gone to our slightly more defensive variant of the system with a proper right back in. if Bournemouth equalise, then we'll know that's what I should have done, I guess. Thinking about it now, it would have been the sensible thing to do in the circumstances. Bit late now, though, isn't it? Lamptey has already picked up a yellow card now, and Bournemouth have a free kick on the edge there. Presumably, Lamptey is the one who gave it away, and that's where he got his yellow card from. But luckily, it goes into the crossbar and remains 1-0 to Brighton. Right, we are going to make a last couple of changes here. I am tempted to take off Walker-Peters and actually make that change now before it's too late. Bring Schurz on to play there and have Veltman in there as the fullback and just be a little bit more defensively solid. Ansu Fati's going to come off as well for João Pedro, who can play anywhere in the front four. He's very, very versatile. We'll leave him on there in that winger instruction just to keep that little bit of width, because we like having that little bit of width. Width, I think, is going to be so important in FM24. 23 was, a lot of the time, it was the narrow systems that won the day. But I think there's so much focus on playing narrow now with the inverted fullback positions. I think going wide. Got my early impression, width. The diamond, probably not going to be the year for the diamond. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Some nerd will already be coming up with a diamond that involves liberos and inverted wing backs and ends up being a ridiculous 8-man midfield. That's annoying. Because that's just a goal from... it's a goal from the right back position that I've just thought I'd secured and fixed. So what's going on here? That's Veltman. Why? What's happened there? But it is just a piece of individual brilliance. There's not a lot we can do about that, I don't think. But it is unfortunate. Because we've only had 3 shots on target in the entire match. The ticky-tacker's fun for keeping possession. It doesn't create a lot of chances, though. We need to do a set-piece goal here. We've got Evan Ferguson in the middle, amongst others. Now would be a lovely moment for us to see these fancy new corner routines in action. Gross with the Instagram. Schurz is there, and there is Evan Ferguson. He's probably offside. The referee... I don't know what's going on. Does it count? My arms are still in the air. We've gone to VAR. They did have a man on the line, but they had a man on the line. Can I see a replay, please, referee? I'd like to appeal it. I don't get a replay. Oh, here we go. We do get a replay. Right. Oh, they didn't have a man on the line. Right. Okay. I'll allow it. That's so frustrating. Was it going in before Ferguson touched it? Probably not. Their manager's not wearing a tie, the scruffy urchin. I guess if you'd offered me 4 points from these 2 matches before the episode begun, I'd have been happy. Not so happy drawing at home to Bournemouth, though. But we've got exciting new players to come, and you'll meet them later on today. Double upload day. Next episode will be out at 4 o'clock. So make sure you stick around for that. Make sure you subscribed. All that kind of stuff. If you have enjoyed this video, leave a nice big thumbs up on it for me. Do the subscription stuff I just spoke about. And thank you very much for watching.